Welcome back to Newsmakers. We are with Peter Morrison and Doug Sellman discussing the Law Commission's report on reforming our liquor laws. The Commission is calling for the introduction of nationwide maximum closing hours for both on and off licence sales. All bars and night spots would have to close at 4 a.m. Final entry time would be 2 a.m. And when it comes to your takeaway booze, you could only buy it between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. Is that a reasonable equation?
Takeaway booze, personally, I am for that. I don't think, I really don't think it should have to be law, because it's just, but it's the only way we're going to stop this problem of the young ones drinking. I mean, you and I don't go at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night and buy a dozen bottles of beer or 2 bottles of $9.99 wine, but that's what the young ones are doing. So I think that's going to have to happen in the short term, or the short to medium term.
For supervised premises, at 2 a.m. final entry.
Well, we were the first people in New Zealand to have a one-way door record. And we started at 4 a.m. and we went back to 3 p.m. Since between July last year and December, the end of December last year, they haven't got the figures out yet for this year, but it's tracking the same. Alcohol-related offending was down 18% in Christchurch.
The police want to wind it back even earlier, don't they?
They would, but we are a civilised society, and we've got World Cups coming, we've got all sorts of things, and we don't need to have that. I'm sure 3 o'clock's ample, and you can't have a close off at 4 o'clock, because you're going to end up with all the people on the street at 4 o'clock. That's what happens. You're going to have we haven't got enough transport, taxis, everything like that, and that's when offending occurs, when there's everyone fighting for a taxi. So it's better as we have it now. 3 o'clock, one-way door, and then if you're not in a bar at 3 o'clock, you're not allowed in the bar, so you have to go home, and then so that staggers those people. Slowly drift off, and then people. At the moment, it's working. So people are decide they've had enough. They're going home. And so they drift off, and then there's not everyone on the street at one time.
Reducing alcohol accessibility is a key way of reducing alcohol-related problems, and I think the hours here are a good start. I don't think necessarily they're the ideal, but it would be a good start.
I think in Timaru, the closing time down there is earlier than here, right?
Yeah.
And the Canterbury Police District Commander is adamant that has had a spectacular impact on the reduction of violence on the streets of Timaru, far more than what we've had in Christchurch. Would that be a very compelling case, Peter, to wind your clock back further?
No, because I don't know, because I think the other things that we've talked about, such as having the supermarkets closing at 10 o'clock, so that there's going to be less alcohol for those people. That's what is causing some of the things that are causing the problems. It's not just the supermarkets, the 24-hour convenience stores in the city.
But would you agree that if you're drinking in town at 4:30 in the morning, chances are you've been there quite a fair while?
No, because a lot of them don't even go until 1 o'clock in the morning. It's a cold way, it's changed since.
But they will have preloaded at home, surely.
Yes, they have.
So they could have arguably been drinking for 8 or 9 hours.
Well, I mean, they might have, but I've said earlier that we don't serve intoxicated people in on-premise.
All right.
And we're not allowed to.
I think closing at 2 a.m. will mean that people will adjust to that. They'll adjust their social lives to that.
How do you think the Law Commission has addressed the issue, which I think Peter legitimately raises, about pre-loading?
Well, I think that they've looked at it in terms of discounted pricing through supermarkets. I think that is the main way in which they're looking at making a change there.
Do you think it will make big inroads?
I think it depends on what price rises actually come up, and I saw in the report both a 50% increase and a 100% increase. I think you'll get bigger gains if there was a 100% excise tax increase.
Very, very quickly, lowering the drink driving limit. I know it wasn't part of Sir Geoffrey's brief, but it is on the government's radar. Why should they not?
Why should they not? Because the amount of accidents or alcohol-related accidents between that 0.05 and 0.08 is negligible. People there are some, sure there are some. In Australia, they have 0.05, which is higher than us, but they have 31% of the alcohol-related accidents. In New Zealand, with 0.08 and we only have 27%. And that's all any accident, they mightn't be even over the limit.
Okay. Doug, why should they lower it?
Intoxication to alcohol is at a level of 0.05. So at the moment we have legalised drunk driving, essentially with a level of 0.08. I think Peter has underestimated the gains that would be made in terms of what would happen, and we would be with virtually all the other countries in the world who have a level of 0.05. There's only 2 countries, and that's Britain and the US. Virtually all the other countries. They're rather big countries. I've often thought that they're the countries of British American tobacco. And, I think these are the countries where corporatisation has kind of almost begun to erode democracy. I use the term corporocracy. And I think that we could see it here in those terms.
If you had it, you'd kill country hotels.
Okay. We'll have to leave it there. I know that all of these discussions have a fair way to run yet, so we'll probably have you find me back for another bout or two. Very good to see you, Professor Doug Sellman and Peter Morrison. Thank you very much for your company. We'll catch up soon. Good night.